If I had to see dead bodies all day long, I feel like that would get to me. I'm curious with the groundskeeper what their stories are, if they've ever felt anything weird.
I dated a guy for a lot of my 20s, and he got in a car accident one day and passed away. Having someone that I was once upon a time so close to die, that was weird, because I was like, whoa, someone who knows so much about me is gone and they're on the other side. That was my first experience with grief post-religion, and trying to unpack maybe what that would look like outside of that. What are the chances I meet my soulmate when he dies? And we both had never really moved on until then. I think with my mom, it's ebbed and flowed, because someone that you're so connected to on a cellular level be gone and be dead, it's really hard to feel connected to them. In a way, it almost debunks everything that you believe, because you're like, there's no way that I wouldn't feel them more. All of these things, my life starts to fall in place, and it's like, are they working magic behind the scenes? I did actually have a medium experience with her, and it's so crazy because so many of the details were so real.
Even talking to you or people that have had these immense losses, it also shows me on this side of things how beautiful and resilient humans are, that they can still survive these losses. You still move forward and create beautiful lives.
I don't know. I need to go to therapy and figure it out.
Hello. I'm Chelsey.
And I'm Sammy, and this is Deepish. Hi, you guys.
Hi.
We are joining you from a remote location today.
Spooky location.
We're at some random cemetery in Commonwealth Heights.
But it's really setting the mood. Here's the thing, though. I love cemeteries.
They are really peaceful. Most of the time, they're really pretty.
I have a reason why, too. I'm anchored to my cemeteries. Growing up, I lived in a cul-de-sac, okay? And there was a trail down this gully, and you walk up, and there's this gorgeous cemetery called East Lawn. Anyone that lives in Utah County will know East Lawn. And it is the most gorgeous cemetery overlooking all of Utah County. It's so pretty, and they had bunnies there. So that was my playground growing up. It sounds so weird, but that's where we would go play, is East Lawn. Mm-hmm. And so I have so many memories. Even some of the gravestones and stuff, I would memorize random ones.
And go visit your favorite ones.
Yes, and one of them was a little kid, which is so creepy and messed up kind of, but I would create a narrative like who he was and his whole story, and they would leave little race cars, and I remember as a kid just laying by his grave and like, playing with the race cars and everything. But I just felt so connected to these people, and then it progressed as I got older, a place where I would go on walks there, and it felt very peaceful. And then whenever I was having a hard time, I would go, and it felt like, yeah, I might not have someone that's died and that's here, but I'm going through a hard time, and I would see someone there visiting someone, and I was like, you're also going through a hard time because you lost someone, and it felt like a connection.
And that cemetery is great because it has a really pretty lookout view too. Mm-hmm. So it's kind of like a observation deck type thing where you can go and reflect on your life.
Yes, and there's been a lot of iterations throughout the years, because I started going when I was 5 probably. We would walk to the cemetery up until now, and they've added on a lot. They've expanded out, and you can overlook. It was my elementary school. So I remember as I got older, I would go during the day, and I would see all these kids at recess and everything like that. It just felt very tied.
Like reflecting on your life.
Yeah. You have a connection with East Lawn.
Yeah, my grandpa was buried there.
Oh, your grandpa is buried there.
My grandma and grandpa are buried next to my mom, but my grandpa died when I was like 3. So we'd always go there, chase the bunnies.
Really? I didn't
Christmas
know
Eve.
that.
Yeah, so that's how I knew about East Lawn, because I lived in Orem, but I remember always driving up the hill and going to this magical place. And then my grandma actually shares my birthday with me, and so I started a tradition. I think when I was probably 25 or something, I would go up there every day on my birthday, and I start my birthday with my grandma.
And this was even before your mom passed away.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
So every July 13th, that's exactly how I wanted to start my day. And it was so nice. Like when I lived with Bailey, our friend, she lives just down the hill. I would just walk up there And I'd bring a little breakfast, go get a coffee or whatever, and then sit with her. And that's how I love to start my birthday. And now I still do that because my mom's up there now. And so, yeah, I love it. I go up there all the time, especially now that my mom's there, obviously, to reflect.
Does it feel different to you at all? Obviously, your grandparents there, but now your mom. Does it feel still very peaceful? Is it heavy, or just kind of depends on how you're feeling?
Yeah, I think it's more peaceful. I think it's different for some of my family members and probably people who grieve differently. But once I start winding up the hill, I'm like, Mom, get me to her faster.
Yeah,
and then
like
go there and I'm like, hi,
bit.
Mom, how are you? I missed you so much. I made this whole picture banner that has all these pictures of her that I switched out every couple months. And I really make it a special place. And it's nice because it's kind of hidden off of the main road. And so,
yeah, do you like her location?
Yes, except for I want to plant some trees because I'm always there in the morning and the sun is so bright and there's no shade, which I hate because in the summer it's so hot. But I love that it's not
right
like
on the
hidden because there's a hill next to it. And so there's a grove of trees on the side and it's nice. There are some better locations that have a prettier view of the lookout spot or something, but they're a lot more public. People go walk there. There's lots of families around. And so I do like the privacy of it.
But could you just go plant a tree if you wanted?
I told my family, I was like, we should plant a lilac tree.
Oh my gosh.
On the side. Like, what would they do?
But on the side of her, because is she on the edge?
No, she's in the middle. Like, she's probably 3 headstones from one of the sides. And so we could just plant it there and then hope. Obviously, that's like sentimental, but I'm like, can we plant a full big ass tree right there to give us some shade? We'd have to plan. I don't know where the sun is at that time, but it does suck because it's like right in the middle and there's no trees. And there's some headstones that have so many shaded trees.
Totally. But I wonder if the groundskeeper would walk by one day and it's like, where'd that tree come
Yeah,
from?
well, it's the best because I've become friends with the gardeners there.
No, what?
It's annoying because you want to put all the stuff at your loved one's headstone, but they mow the lawn every Monday. And so they'll just throw away stuff that you put up there because they just basically mow over all of the things. So there's not any tall standing headstones. They're all flat. And the guys know me. And so they always set the photo thing to the side.
No.
And when I first started going, they're like, oh, what happened to your mom? How'd she die? We talk about it, whatever. And one of the guys had an uncle or something die from COVID. And so we bonded over that. So they never throw my picture thing away. They always just put it to the side of the dirt and then I go put it back when I go back the next time.
Oh my gosh, that is so sweet.
But it's nice too because it's right by my work. So I'll go up there and eat lunch with her sometimes.
Do you talk out loud?
Oh, yeah. And I always am like, hi, Mama. Give her a little kiss on her picture. I'm so cheesy and weird. I've always been like that. But even now, as an adult, I'm just like, okay, bye, Mom. Love you.
It's so sweet. Also, the groundskeepers, I'm curious if they have any spooky stories. Because, like, when I got a little bit older, but still pretty young, like 10 to 12, we would try to freak each other out. We would tell ghost stories up at East Lawn. Or they have this huge open scripture. It's a statue. And it's just a huge scripture with a verse on it. And I remember me and my friends holding hands, like pretending we were possessed, reading this scripture and stuff.
Scary.
Like, we would try to freak each other out. But I'm curious with the groundskeeper one, what their stories are, if they've ever felt anything weird. You know what I'm saying? Even people that own funeral homes or embalmers and stuff like that. I'm so grateful there's people like that out there, but also it feels like a certain person has to take that type of job.
Well, you want to know what's crazy? Do you know Chad Daybell?
Okay.
Do you know who that is?
No.
Okay, so Chad Daybell, he is the person who married Lori Daybell. They did the whole end of the world. She killed her kids.
Oh,
the Doomsday
yes,
Mom.
Yes.
He lived in Springville, Utah.
Mm-hmm.
He was actually friends with my dad and helped publish a couple of his books, but he was the groundskeeper for the Springville Cemetery. And it literally drove him insane. He has a few different books out there about how the Mormon church and spiritual stories he's experienced with the bodies there and spiritual moments that he's had. But then he ended up going crazy and killing everyone because he thought they were possessed and all this stuff. But it is kind of crazy that that's his background. That's his job.
Groundskeeper. That's what I'm saying.
At the Springville Cemetery.
It would be so interesting to interview someone who owns a funeral home or a groundskeeper and be like, tell us stories or what your views are.
How do you become so passionate about that? Because even the guy that owns Nelson's Mortuary, which is by East Lawn, that's where we did my mom's funeral.
Yeah.
That one's pretty new. And so He was so passionate though. Like, I'm going to take such good care of your mom. This means so much to me. This is the best thing I can do with my life, is give people a good burial and a good send off. And I'm just like, how do you wind down at night? What's your personal life like? I'm so curious about so many things about you.
Yeah, and seeing dead bodies all day long and embalming people.
Oh, like, embalming, that is a whole other thing.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Do you just become so desensitized to that?
You have to, yeah.
Or just even preparing the bodies and everything. I think it can be so peaceful, and a lot of closure I've heard about people preparing the body for a funeral, like loved ones there. Yeah. But just these workers, I have this image in my head of like Tim Burton characters.
Yeah. For sure. The whole embalming thing, that's a whole other story. And then lifting them up on the table and getting them prepared. Because when we got my mom ready, she was on the table ready, and they dressed her most of the way, and we put her temple accessories on and then did her makeup. And like my friend came and did her hair. And it was so special, but it was so weird. But they had her all set up and like ready. Like,
yeah, but just even getting to that point, I'm sure, yes, you get desensitized. I think you feel like you probably have a higher purpose. Like, whoa, I'm here and I'm giving people such a gift, because I'm sure that is a gift for you. To like go and not have to do.
But I also wonder if it's kind of like with therapy, how we were asking Becca last week about how she's been through so much trauma and she wants to help people with trauma. Have these people lost a lot of loved ones? Would that make you want to work more with the dead if you've had a lot of loss in your life?
I'm sure for some reason I have this thought that it's very generational. Like, my dad did this, so I was around bodies and around families, and so I just got used to it. Because I feel like people that do that are not creeped out or like, this is a lot or whatever. I feel like they're just like, yeah, this is my job. But if I had to see dead bodies all day long, I feel like that would get to me. Or also the spiritual aspect. It's like, have you ever had any scary or powerful spiritual experiences?
Which brings up a good point of what our episode's about today.
Yes, everyone's like, okay,
what's happening? So signs that you've had from the other side, or anything that you have with a connection to the afterlife. Obviously, I have a lot of my own experiences, but I was going to ask you, who's the closest person that you've had die?
Not a lot of people.
Because even like your grandma that you're closest to is still alive, isn't she?
Both my grandmas are still alive. Both my grandpas are dead. So my first experience with death was my grandpa when I was probably 8. He died. And I just remember going up to his body, and he had his mustache and his sunglasses on. And I was just like, this is freaky.
A viewing as a kid is traumatic.
It really was. I still have that image in my head. And then my other grandpa passed away, and I don't think there was a viewing. Me personally, I don't like viewings. They're upsetting to me.
Yeah.
But you loved your mom's viewing.
I wouldn't say I love my mom's viewing. No. I'm glad I got to help her get ready and stuff. Here's the thing though. When McKay died, they didn't do a viewing because of his body and stuff. And that's hard. It's hard not seeing a person and knowing that they died, but you'll never see them again. Something about witnessing it with your own eyes can help you get that closure.
Yeah, like they're gone.
So I think a random person, viewings are very off-putting. If I go to a random friends, whatever, or like my random uncle, it's not as like, oh. But if I were to die and Hayden's like, yeah, Sammy's dead, I feel like a viewing would give you some closure. It'd be hard to see me that way.
Yeah, that's what it is. Because even seeing your mom was so upsetting to me.
And of course it's going to be, but I just think when you love somebody so much, you need to, it's like
get that
slap
in the face a
is like
bit.
Ingrained of like, oh my gosh, okay, brain process, they're not here, they're not breathing, they're not blinking, they're not talking. I can come to terms with the fact that they're gone versus they die, but then you're like, is this some weird government thing? Did they actually die? If my mom got in a random car accident and
you'd like need to
you can't see her body, I'd be like, no, I need to know it's her. I don't care what she looks like, I need to know, or else I will spend the rest of my life thinking that she might still be alive.
Totally. I think that makes sense. I've only lost my grandpas and like an aunt. I'm curious because I am close with both my grandmas. I think that'll be my first real like, whoa, my grandmas are gone.
It is kind of crazy because even thinking about the episode we did last week about trauma and things, grief I really do feel like prepares you for other trials in your life, because we talked a lot about letting trauma be and sitting with pain and being able to put it on a shelf during other parts of your life and being able to live with this discomfort, knowing that it's never going to go away, but you might have to come back and revisit it. That is grief. And I feel like you have no choice but to feel it and to live with it. And I think grief can make you a lot stronger emotionally in so many different areas of your life. And I feel like in my life, I've had that built up where when my grandma Warner died, that was really hard for me, but it was the most spiritual experience I've ever had. her whole death and everything that happened around her death. And then I had an ex-boyfriend die, and then my mom died. And those little ones prepared me for the big one.
Yeah, I see that for
I
sure.
think grief is something we all go through, and I don't ever want you to go through that. But I also feel like it is a beautiful and painful part about life.
I know. I don't know how I'll be when someone really close to me dies.
Yeah, I'm curious.
Because it's such a deep, deep, deep fear. And I'm sure everyone has that fear.
Yeah.
But I also don't feel super connected to the other side.
And I'm curious if that's going to change how you think about the other side.
Oh, I'm sure it will, because even talking to Shelby Walker, who was on the podcast months ago, who has lost so many people in her life, I feel like she has a very grounding spiritual experiences, and her spirituality is so strong because she's lost so many people. She knows what she believes in, because she even said herself, I have to believe in something, because if not, I couldn't survive.
Yeah.
I have to know that there's something else,
and
I'm going to see them again.
Because her loss really dictates what she believes, which is good and bad, because right now you have the room to truly believe what you believe in, and not because you're clinging on to what's on the other side. I think that's something I've had to process with my mom of, this doesn't really align with what I believe in, but I want it to be true because of her. And my only issue with it not being true is because of her. You know, it really makes it hard.
Okay, so I want to touch on where you're at with the other side, or any experiences you've had with your mom or your grandma or McKay or whoever.
Yeah, it's hard because it changes all the time. And I think at first, let's start with my grandma. So when my grandma died, this was crazy because I was pretty active in the church at the time, and I remember her patriarchal blessing said, when you die, you will have white hair and you'll be surrounded by all of your loved ones. And my grandma had Alzheimer's for 10 years. And so she was gone long before she actually died. But we all took turns taking care of her. The grandkids would take shifts, and it was really hard watching her decline. And she was the only grandparent really that was alive during my whole life. And we lived with her multiple times. I was really close with her. And what was weird is they basically called everyone. She was on hospice, and they're like, she is declining. She's probably going to die today. And so we all took off work. The whole family had gone to her house to say goodbye to her. But my family had a lot of different trauma and things happen in our family with my dad's side of the family, cousins and uncles. And there was a huge divide that some family members didn't talk to other family members for years. And it was a really hard time in our life because we were really close to them. So my grandma ended up, from the time that they called us to say, hey, come say goodbye, she didn't die till like 3 days later. But during those 3 days, it was like she could go at any time. So for those 3 days, we all just gathered. And it's one of those things that you feel like, why did somebody die the way that they did? And it felt very meant to be. Like, she was meant to go in this way so that she could heal her family. I remember us saying like, oh, Grandpa is so proud of her for staying back and fixing the family and healing all of us, because I don't think that's healing that we would have gotten if she would have gone any other way. And so that was a really spiritual time in my life. And I do tend to cling on to tragedy and find the beauty in it. And I think that was my first experience with grief, where I'm like, oh, grief is really beautiful, and it can be really healing and help you look inward.
It was different too with your grandma, because she had been declining for so long, and then it was such a beautiful end to her story. So even my memories looking back on that time, you were so at peace with everything, and so much of you healed. And so I think that was your initial experience with loss and grief. And it is funny how that was the foundation of what is going to catapult the next few years
of facing grief. And I think at that time I was still really heavily in the church, and just went along with the idea of, no, this is exactly what it is. Her patriarchal blessing says this. My grandpa's waiting up for her. She had this whole purpose in life, and I'm going to look for signs from her, and she's always with us, and whatever. That felt very easy because the answers are there, and the happily ever after exists, and I'll see her again someday. And then my second experience with grief was beginning of 2021, actually the same year that my mom died.
So wild to me. The same year.
Yeah.
I don't know why those times feel so separate to me.
I know.
It feels honestly 2 years apart.
Yeah. Yeah, it's wild.
6 months.
I dated a guy for a lot of my 20s. We dated for probably 3 or 4 years on and off. He really struggled with alcoholism, and we had broken up and gone back together a few different times. He'd always reach out, and I had to set a boundary of us not talking anymore, not dating anymore. And he got in a car accident one day and passed away. That was really hard because he was someone that I had been so close with, and he was actually the only person that I had ever said I love you to, and who had ever loved me on this planet. And something about that, it kind of put all of the issues that we had and the demons that he had all went away, and I was able to see him and view him for the amazing person that he was.
And I think it was different too because neither of you had really dated anyone since each other. It wasn't you both were in a serious relationship or had moved on. He hadn't really dated anyone, and you had never been in a serious relationship after him.
Yeah.
And so I think that's what also made it so raw and real. You and him have pictures on the sign-in table at his funeral and stuff.
Yeah, it was really healing for me to be able to show up for his family and bring them over a bunch of pictures and show them a bunch of videos that they hadn't seen. He really struggled the last few years of his life, and just looking back on a time that he was happy and laughing and himself, that one was really sad because he did have so much potential that he just never was able to tap into. And obviously him passing away at 28 is way too young, and having someone that I was once upon a time so close to die, that was weird because I was like, whoa, someone who knows so much about me is gone and they're on the other side. That is so weird.
But even that experience, losing him, I feel like similar to your grandma, you took that experience and found the beauty in the tragedy again. You were like, oh, I'm talking with his family's hearing all these stories and being that light for them. Even at his funeral, you seemed very peaceful, and obviously it was so hard for you, but you were like, I know now he's not dealing with those demons anymore, and he's on this other side and he can help in other ways now, and he's free. You had a very good, strong, passionate outlook even on that death.
I don't know, I need to go to therapy and figure it out. But I feel like it's kind of a way that I cope, where I'm like, no, like I'm gonna text them on his birthday and I want to make him feel alive and make them know that he's remembered. And his dad would always be like, just talk about him, please tell people good things about him, and keep his memory alive. And I'm like, I am your girl, I can do that. So in a weird way, I think I can rise to the occasion and handle these situations okay. But that was my first experience with grief post-religion, and trying to unpack maybe what that would look like outside of that. And he had left the church, and so I'm like, what does that look like for him? Is he getting his questions answered? Is he like, I told you so? It's weird having someone you're so close to be on the other side and knowing what happens after this.
Yeah, because you don't know.
Because you don't know.
And that's what's so hard. You can try to configure anything. None of us know, but I choose to believe whatever it is better. And the questions are answered, and it all makes sense.
Yeah.
You're like, oh, I don't know.
Okay. We'll get into that.
Okay, so you lose my case.
Yeah, so then 6 months later, my mom dies, and for the first little bit, I'm like, no, for sure, something's after this. I can't wait to reunite with her. Now I have the best guardian angel, and she's gonna send me all these signs and be here and make all my dreams come true and all the things. What's weird is literally me and Hayden started talking again because he responded to a post I posted about McKay's funeral and was like, I'm so sorry. And we started talking, and then he ended up taking me out on a date, and that's how I met my husband. So you could say like, oh, McKay played a part in that. Like, what are the chances I meet my soulmate when he dies? And we both had never really moved on until then. And then all that happens. My mom dies. I get with Hayden. I get my dream job, all of these things. My life starts to fall in place, and it's like, are they working magic behind the scenes? And what's also weird is when my mom dies, I'm like, oh, she's with McKay. This is so weird. It's so weird having so many people that you know up there. But I think with my mom, it's ebbed and flowed because someone that you're so connected to on a cellular level be gone and be dead, it's really hard to feel connected to them. In a way, it almost debunks everything that you believe, because you're like, there's no way that I wouldn't feel them more. There's no way that she wouldn't be part of my life, or there's no way she wouldn't step in and help here. And so that's been really hard. But I did actually have a medium experience with her, and it's something I talked to my sister about after the fact, because we look back on that experience and it's so crazy because so many of the details were so real. But I find myself second guessing it and being like, nah.
Well, second guessing it now. During that experience, I feel like you were like, Mom's here. You were
Literally
locked in, and that meant so much to you.
Yeah.
So it's hard for me hearing, I don't know. It's like, can you tap back into that? But you're at this point where it's like, nah, I can poke holes in all of that. But the time of it meant everything to you.
Well, it's kind of like what you would attribute to a spiritual experience. At that time, you're like, oh my gosh, this feels so right and true and all these things, and then the world kind of chips away at you again, and then that spiritual experience zooms back out.
Yeah.
What do you feel like the most spiritual experience you've ever had is? Have you ever had the euphoric connection to the other side or connection to spirituality? Yeah,
for sure I have. I think probably the most is when my kids are born.
Yeah, the closest you'll ever be to the other side.
Yeah, it feels so visceral. I feel like I can grab it. I can hold on to whatever it is.
But do you feel like that fades?
Yeah, for sure. But there's definitely moments that it's ignited, but I really relate it to my family. It's like my kids and Brandon, and when we're all together, it feels almost like this magic power that we have together when we're playing Uno and we're all laughing. I'm like, oh, there it is. There's that thing. And it feels so tangible in those moments. And then, of course, the next day they're screaming at each other and I'm crying, whatever it is, and it's gone.
And you're like, there's no purpose in life.
Yeah. But I think that there have been those undeniable moments where I'm like, there has to be. Just even seeing that circle of life is so crazy that it's not divine. It doesn't make sense if there's not. And I love all of those ancient philosophers that like only believed in science. And he's like, the more I study science, the more I believe that there has to be more than this, because it's impossible that all these pieces just fit so eloquently together. There has to be a reason why. The scientist brain is almost like, no. And so I feel like with you too, sometimes you go down and it's like, no, there has to be. But then I think maybe your grief is honestly talking you out of those experiences. Like you're so entrenched in sadness sometimes that the little devil that's just chipping away at any hope that you have.
Because I think when it's someone that you lose that's more distant, it's easy to be like, yeah, place them in a box of the happily ever after. But when it's someone who's so obviously missing and there's a huge void in your life, if that's a husband, a child, a mom, a parent, if you lost a child and you didn't feel them near when they're literally a part of you, you would second guess everything. You would doubt it because you'd be like, there's no way if my baby is up in heaven that I don't feel them. Like how can there be such a disconnect if they still exist?
And I think that it is something that I haven't experience, so it's hard for me to empathize with that feeling. But even talking to you or people that have had these immense losses, it also shows me on this side of things how beautiful and resilient humans are, that they can still survive these losses. You still move forward and create beautiful lives. It's like, how?
And itself,
that in itself should be meaningful or an answer almost. Maybe there is hundreds of angels holding you up in those moments that you're not seeing.
I love the thought of that.
You love the thought of it, but you don't know.
It's almost like when you're like, I know I'm loved, but I don't feel loved. Yeah. It's like a false belief that you're trying to trick yourself into believing that you're like, I don't personally feel that, but I want to.
I know, it's like, can we just gaslight ourselves into it though?
And I think I do sometimes, for sure, where I'm like holding my mom's hand in the car and I'm like, I thought you didn't believe in this, and I'm like, Mom,
Mommy there, 3 squeezes.
Yeah. Literally.
So, I want to hear about your medium experience.
I love nothing more. I would always watch Long Island Medium and things like that. I really do feel like I believe in mediums, which is weird. Like, it's so weird. So basically, this is what happened. So I don't know if anyone knows Monica the Medium. She had a show on ABC Family, and it was a classic medium show. And then she started doing these live events. And our friend Kylie actually got me a ticket to one. And I remember it was in October, a couple months after my mom died. I got all cozy, got my mom's sweatshirt, watched it. And it was incredible watching these things happen. There was this couple on there and their baby came through and was talking about these things. Watching these people IRL freak out and be so touched by their children or their parents or their siblings or their loved ones was wild. Nothing happened for me basically how it works is you're on a Zoom call and she'll be like, okay, I'm getting a young male, probably 25. His name starts with a J. And then people raise their hand on the Zoom if it resonates with you. And nothing ever resonated with me, but it was really healing for me to watch other people. And so a month later, I saw that Monica was doing an event on November 20th, which was my sister's birthday. So I was like, that has to be good luck. Ken, I want you to experience this. Just watching these stories, Mom probably won't come through, but watching these stories is amazing. And so me and her order all my mom's favorite foods. We go sit in my mom and dad's bed, and we're wearing all her jewelry, all her clothes, and we're watching it. And Monica does talk about, like, listen to all of these stories because there may be some things that you resonate that might be little glimmers that your loved one's trying to send you through somebody else. So if it was a specific thing, it might not be your loved one, but they want you to hear this. So she had just finished doing a reading for this dad that was talking to his daughter who had actually died from COVID. And we were like, oh my gosh, this is so weird. It's so similar to Mom. Mm-hmm. So we're like, maybe she's trying to tell us things through this guy. And so Monica wraps up the reading with that girl, and she's like, oh my gosh, this is so funny. There's this lady in the back, and this guy is trying to help her to get to the front of the line, and she's yelling like, my girls, my girls, my girls. She's like, this is so cute. And then she's like, oh my gosh, okay, does anyone have a mom on here? I don't remember what identifiers she said, but I think she said her name started with a J, and
she has 2 girls or something. Like,
yeah,
it was like something
like,
about,
she was talking about my girls. And she also passed away from COVID, whatever. So we're going to raise our hand on the Zoom. And she's like, oh my gosh, I'm feeling you guys. And, oh, it was the best. The most euphoric thing. And it sucks because she talks about not filming it because she's like, please don't film this. And I felt like it would just turn off some connection from the other side if I was sneaking like filming it. Yeah. So we don't have it filmed, which I'm so sad about. But basically, she comes through and she's like, oh, do you guys have 4 kids in your family? I'm like, no, we just have 3. And she's like, she keeps talking about her 4th kid and is telling me, tell them it's a boy, tell them it's a boy, tell them it's a boy. And my brother was actually a twin, and she miscarried his twin early on, and she always was convinced that Aaron had a brother. And she's like, she wants you to know it's a boy. And that was so weird because we'd never posted about that, never talked to anyone about that, and that was wild. And then she talked about all sorts of things that you cannot
like
deny.
You wouldn't be able to find out on the
like talked
internet.
About this flower bush that we planted, talked about my mom hiding treats in her nightstand, talked about all of these crazy funny things, talked about my dad, talked about the grandkids. And a week before that, we had gone to a pumpkin patch with my nephew Tate. He was only like 2 or 3 at the time. He's like, Mima here. And we're like, oh, that's so cute. Do you think she's here? And she's like, she wants you to know she's always with the grandkids. Everywhere you guys go, she follows. She spends all of her time with them, and she is there. And talked about us making chocolates, me making her recipes, wearing her aprons. There's so many things that she talked about. Talked about me getting married, finding the love of my life. She's like pointing to watch about me having kids. I'm trying to think. I should have looked over the notes before this, but there was a lot of things that were so undeniably her. She knew her name. She knew all of these different things. So yeah, leaving that experience, I was like, whoa, this is crazy. I've gone to 2 other mediums since then, like random off of TikTok, and some of them have gotten some things right, and then others I'm like, this feels like a reach. So I don't know. I feel like it kind of depends on the medium that you go to.
Yeah.
But I believe in it.
Oh, I absolutely believe in it. And I think more than anything, I just want you to have those feelings and experiences where it's like, I feel like you got this confirmation that your mom's there and you clung to that for a long time. And then I feel like there's been points where you're just like, there's nothing and she's not here. And that hurts me as someone who loves you and wants your mom to be there. And I do believe it. I think too, since then, you've had some really hard things happen in your life that you're just like, my mom would never let this happen.
And that's what's hard, is going through infertility is weird because it is a form of grief. I'm grieving someone I've never met, and I'm grieving a life that I'm not able to have, and it's almost like the opposite. And I'm also seeking for a reason to be here and to ground me here and have a purpose and things. I had a conversation with my dad about it because I'm like, Mom wouldn't let this happen. Why is she not? And my dad's like, Mom's not God. She can't just, because in my way, I've almost made my mom my God, where like I pray to her type thing.
Yeah.
If I need comfort, I'm like, Mom, send me some love, or I'm having a really hard time, Mom. I talk to her versus God, which I have a hard time because I don't know if I believe in God, but that's probably not good. If you did believe in God, like, you should talk to God and ask him for these things, because it was such a comforting thought. Like, she's making all my dreams come true and she's doing all this, and like she knows more than anyone how badly I wanted to be a mom, and she is on the other side with my babies, and that's something triggering to me when people are like, oh, your mom's just hugging those babies,
And you're like, no, my mom would give them to me.
Yeah.
But honestly, maybe she doesn't have that power.
And that's most
control.
likely the scenario. You have to go through things, you have to learn things, obviously.
And that's what at the end of the day, regardless of your mom's hand and everything, you do have, that's life. You do have to go through hard things.
And same thing, like, you can't save your kids from all the bad in life. You have to watch them trip and fall.
Oh my
and get back
gosh.
up.
Yeah. I think more than anything, how I look at it is your mom knows you are going to be a mom, and she's like, this is the worst, and I'm going to hold your hand during all of these hard times, but this is part of your journey. This is part of your story, and I can't change that. Like, I can't fix that. But I know this time of your life going through infertility, you might not know the answers now, but I think through the years, there's going to be experiences that you are going to make sense of why you went through infertility. Maybe not directly, but if someone else experiencing that, your kid's going through something hard, the empathy that you're unfortunately having to develop, it's adding to who you are in your character. And so I think tapping into that Sammy that's always looking for the meaning and purpose, regardless of knowing all the answers, is, I think, what will ground you during this time.
For sure.
And you are doing that.
I look back on her being without her mom and going through all these hard things, and thinking about her reuniting with her mom, and same thing with my grandma, going back to my grandma and us being like, Grandpa's probably so proud of her. She fulfilled her purpose. She did the thing. And I think looking on all the hardships my mom went through, and her mom giving her a hug and like, I know you miss me, but I'm so proud of you. You did such a good job. I look forward to that someday.
But honestly, too, I think it's going to be easier when you have a freaking kid.
Yeah.
Like, when your kid is freaking here, I think it's going to be easier to find the effing meaning. But right now, it's like, no.
Cool, like, life is meaningless, and I don't have a mom or a kid. Yeah, for sure. But it's interesting. I'm curious about your thoughts about near-death experiences. Obviously, you hear the same type of thing, right? There's a bright light. There's an overwhelming feeling of comfort and love and bliss, and nothing else matters. And people talk about this, and they're like, it's not that I saw a face or a person, but I knew it was my mom hugging me. And we were communicating in a way I didn't know, but I completely understood what they were saying. And that's hard for me, because I'm like, yes, I hope it feels so amazing, but I know it's not going to be the same. Like, the hug from my mom isn't going to feel like my mom, but maybe it will in some weird euphoric way.
I know. I think you're very held up on, you just want your mom. You don't want a version of your mom, even if it's better.
Yeah.
It's like, no, I want my mom. And
it's like the same thing as like a kid. It's like your kid, they're so specific, their personality, their quirks. Like, you don't want some free floating version of them reuniting with them if they were to pass away or something. It's like, no, like, I want my baby and exactly how they are and how they laugh. Like, my mom's comforting hugs, and like how I was so much taller than her. And no matter what happens after this, the one thing I do hope is I just want to have a conversation with her and just acknowledge, like, holy shit, you've died. Like, you died on me at 28. Can we talk about that? That's all I want, is like a closure conversation of like, can you believe that happened?
Yeah. And it's so weird that I have this hope that you will have that.
Yeah.
And I think your mom got that.
I hope so.
With her mom, because I think that was a huge hole in her life, losing her mom at such a young age. Like, I feel like she has that. But here's the thing, going back to like, no, you just want your kid. I say when they get older, you're grieving the loss of them being little. And I would give anything to hug 4-year-old Lennox right now. Like, I want that. I want him. But then I know him now, and I'm like, no. But also, you're perfect, and I don't want you to not be who you are. And maybe that's how you need to look at your mom, whatever her journey is right now. I want you, but I also,
and hopefully that's what it is, where it's so whole and it's so filling that you can't even explain it and you can't even relate it to this life, because maybe it is all of her versions in one. Imagine reuniting with Lennox after he dies when he's 80 and you're already passed away. And it's like baby Lennox, 4-year-old Lennox, 10-year-old Lennox, 20-year-old Lennox, all in one person.
Yeah.
How full that would
and
feel.
like you feel there's no
missing piece. So if you had to, let's say, I'll give you $100,000 if you can predict what the afterlife is. I have the answer I'm about to tell you, but I want to know how you think it is. If you had to give your best guess, what would you say how it works from the second that we die?
I feel like it's kind of a different dimension. Is how I picture it right now. Like, obviously I don't know, but I kind of picture it as this other dimension, and our earthly brains can't comprehend what that is and what that looks like. But then when you're on the other side, all of these questions that you've had, like what is the meaning of life and all this stuff, you get this immediate knowledge, and it's almost a feeling of like, oh, that makes sense. Obviously my brain is like, maybe it's a life, but I don't necessarily think it's a life. I think it is an everything, but it also is complete, if that makes sense, where you're still able to be with your loved ones and excel and progress.
Yeah, that's what I've heard a guy talking about a near-death experience. He was like, it's everything everywhere all at once. It's not one specific place. It's not one specific thing. It's not one specific person or feeling. It's all.
Yeah, and I think that that's what I believe in. It is all.
But it's so hard to grasp. Like, it makes sense that it would be all. Because what does heaven look like to you? It's so different. Oh, I would have Taylor Swift and Diet Coke and my mom in a movie theater. That's not everybody's heaven.
But maybe it's just
the feeling that those things bring is what is there.
And I think even saying it feels so plausible.
Yeah.
That that's what it is.
Do you believe in hell? Do you think that there's a hell or an outer darkness or an opposite of...
I don't.
So what about people who are serial killers and things like that?
I don't know. I don't believe in a hell, though. But it's hard for me to think that a Hitler and your mom are chilling. You know what I'm saying? You don't deserve the same all. But also, I don't necessarily believe this life is a test. I don't feel like I'm being tested. I feel like I'm here to experience. And I do feel like it's a privilege and a blessing to have a life. And I want to make the most out of it. But I don't necessarily feel like at the end of it, it's like, do I get a gold star or do I get a demerit?
Yeah. But I do hope there's a life review. I've heard that in a lot of things. And Monica the Medium talks about that in her book, where there is a life review. That's all I want. Pop that baby in. Like, I want to watch my life, the good and the bad, and just see it all come together.
And maybe there is kind of a separation, but it's hard because I want to say there is something else.
Learning and progression, but it's not like a judgment day, but it's reviewing things that you're learning for your soul's purpose.
Yeah, but I might feel different if someone did something horrible to my kids. I'd be like, you're going to hell. I feel like then I would believe in a hell because I'd want that person to go there.
But it's hell in a version of you're going to have to deal with these things.
And I do believe in karma. And I don't. Karma in the sense of what you put out into the universe will eventually come back to you. And that's probably the definition of karma, but I do believe in that. Because even if it's not for...
Then why do bad things happen to good people?
Well, I don't think that that's avoidable. I feel like that is part of life, is to have bad things happen to you.
But is putting good out into the universe just a consequence of your actions in a positive way?
No, I don't think if something bad happens to you, it's because you did something to deserve that.
No, but I think if something good happens to you, it's a consequence of doing good and being good. Like, finding an amazing husband is a consequence of taking your time, being a good person, like all of those things. There are good consequences, and it's like putting good out there, you get good back. But putting bad out there, you get bad back because it's a consequence.
Yeah, but I think it's also choices. And also your personal integrity and character. Character is who you are when no one's watching. It's like, who do you want to be? I think about this all the time. If I see a piece of trash on the ground or whatever, I'm like, I don't want to pick that up and throw it away. And I know no one's going to see this. I'm not going to get a good warm fuzzy. But I'm like, am I the person who walks by the trash, or am I the person that picks it up and puts it into the garbage? I want to be the person that does that. And it's almost like that. When you're doing good things or doing whatever, your actions become who you are. I think it's hard when bad things are happening. I don't think that there's an answer to that other than this is part of life to experience these things. And unfortunately, even if they are horrible, you can also find meaning in those things.
I agree with that. Do you think that there's any form of reincarnation? Okay, it's everything everywhere all at once. It's all encompassing, the afterlife. It's a different dimension, the end.
I don't think that there is ever an end. Do I believe in reincarnation? I don't know. My initial thought is no, I don't. But also, if there is no end, maybe there is versions there.
We've talked about this. And you read Monica the Medium's book, and she talks about the Clementine theory. She basically explains that we're all Clementines, and that our whole soul is a full Clementine, but the slices of the Clementine are what come down at certain times to live life, experience different things, and fully form your full soul and basically elevate to a different level of life school. And then once your whole Clementine's full, you become a mentor to other people and a guardian angel to help other people fulfill their Clementine, which I love the idea of that, because it feels like, okay, we are here to learn and experience things, but it has a purpose, and going through different lives to feel different things. But that feels so beyond this world that it almost feels discomforting that I could have been like a 90-year-old war vet in my last life. That feels weird.
Wait, so do you believe in reincarnation?
I think so. In that sense, yes. And what's crazy is there's stories that she mentions in her book of this 4-year-old little girl who fully described 9/11 and was like, I was there during 9/11, blah, blah, blah. And describes things like there's no way that she could have known. And was she a random worker at the World Trade Center? Who knows? It's so weird.
It's crazy. I do think too, all of these religions, all of these views, all these practices, everyone has a little bit of truth. And I think that through experiences in life and whatever, we've gotten bits and pieces of it. I truly believe no one has the answer. And that's hard for me with my upbringing and knowing this is the one true church and the one true truth. It's hard for me to even admit that, but I don't think anyone knows. I'm almost positive no one knows.
No one knows exactly. I think people who have had near-death experiences, spiritual experiences, things like that maybe have a little bit of an idea, but not too much.
But I do want to know what your version today is like. What is after this?
Yeah, I kind of feel similar. I think it's a different dimension. I think it's so much bigger than we could ever imagine. This is on the days that I don't think there's absolutely nothing. Because most of my dark days, I'm like,
there's nothing.
Nothing matters. There's nothing. There's no purpose. There's no afterlife. There's no before life.
But I feel like you say that, but I could challenge that immediately.
Let's challenge it.
Knowing your experiences. Your grandma dying and having those 3 days. Do you truly believe there's nothing and there's no point?
It's hard because looking back at where my mind was during that time, I'm like, oh yeah, no, there was. But it's like, are you just looking for things?
But it's like,
to make it make
had
sense?
Enough experiences in your life to have a meaning where this makes sense?
I think life can be so beautiful and experiencing it and things,
but it's also for
I feel like there's been a bunch of bullshit in my life that I'm like, why? And there's no answer to why.
But even your hardest, you losing your mom, just straight losing your mom. Have you ever had a conversation with someone that has experienced loss that you're like, I'm so gut-wrenchingly sorry that I know exactly what that feels like? And there's a connection?
No, nothing that has made it worth it.
Not
Obviously,
like
I guess you
it,
go
but
through hard things. We've talked about this with radical acceptance and blah, blah, blah. You go through hard things, and I believe, even infertility, I'm like, yes, this is probably shaping me, forming me somehow. Breakups, trials, family drama, depression, anxiety, all of these things, yes. I think that can teach you something. But my mom missing out on most of my life and not being able to be there, like, that's bullshit. And that's not the lesson to be learned. It's just like, I got fucking gypped.
Yeah.
I'm sure most days I can find some silver lining and stuff, but there should be an order of things. And for anyone who has lost somebody, it's not fair. That shouldn't be a lesson that people have to learn, especially at the wrong time.
1,000%. Because I think too, with your grandma or with McKay, it felt not necessarily like either of them deserved the lives and the endings that they necessarily did.
But the plan kind of made sense.
Yeah, but I think with your mom, it's really hard for you. But it's weird though, because I feel like you've gone through different versions of this. There's years where you feel more, I don't know, it feels like you have never answers, but clarity.
Yeah.
And you feel more, I wouldn't even say at peace, but acceptance. And it feels like, okay, I'm finding more meaning or whatever. And then there's been years where it's like, this is absolutely garbage.
And I think genuinely this has been the hardest year of my life. And I think that's why maybe I'm feeling so cynical, is because even when my mom died and even the year after, there was a lot of good in my life that helped combat that. But now it's like, no, I'm going through a lot and my mom's not here. That's been really hard. And so this year, maybe I'm just jaded. And maybe when life gets a little bit better, I'll be like, no, guardian, blah, blah.
Do you feel open to the possibility that it might not always feel this way?
Yeah, for sure. For sure. But I don't think it will ever be fair. And I don't think nobody will ever be able to make it up to me or make it make sense that my mom missed out on most of my life. That isn't just something hard you go through and something you navigate in your life. That ruined the whole trajectory of my life. Like, that ruined the whole story. You killed off the main character and now the show's ruined. You can't kill off the best character and then expect the show to still be good. And so it's like, yeah, cool. I'll keep living my life. I'll try and find joy and stuff. And I'm sure that's how people feel. I think of Emily Kaiser. It's probably the same thing where it's like, cool, you killed my favorite person on the entire planet. How am I supposed to move on with my life and have a good life now? I can get through hard things, I can move forward, but my life is never going to look the same or be as good as it could have been.
1,000%. I don't know. I feel like there might be a place for both things to be true, where there's still a lot of meaning and depth and happiness and joy simultaneously having it not be fair and killing off the main character and you ruined the story. I think that there could be both. And I'm curious to see, it's been really interesting seeing your grief journey through it all. And I think that you always say like grief isn't linear, and I think I'm really witnessing that in you, where it feels kind of like when we were talking to Brittany about autism and she said it's like a prism, there's points. That's how I feel like grief is. There's this point and then there's this point and then there's this point, and it doesn't make sense, which is also frustrating in itself. Every year it should get easier or better, and it's like 1 year could be better and 1 year can be worse and 1 year could be this and 1 year can be this, and that feels probably very hard to navigate.
Yeah, for sure.
Because you even said this year's been one of the hardest years without your mom. Year 1 was one way, year 2 was one way, year 3 is this way, you know? And so I'm curious.
Well, now we're on year 5 and it's worse than it's ever been. But I also think in different ways, where it's more subconsciously, it's more bitterness, anger. Those are more the emotions I'm feeling versus, wow, life is so beautiful. And are
you giving yourself the ability? Do you ever try to not feel that way? Are you ever like, why do I have to feel this way? Or do you allow yourself to be angry and to be bitter?
Both. I think through my infertility journey, I have a lot of emotions that I have to manage with that I'm like, you know what? You can be mad about your mom this year. That's fine. But the whole excited and heartbroken and things that I've been going through with infertility, that's where my energy is focusing on, like trying to change my attitude. But the whole mom being gone, obviously there's still really good days and days where I talk to her and we honor her and have a lot of beauty in the grief, right? But that's kind of my attitude this year. It's just like, nope, I'm going to be mad about my mom and I'm going to allow myself to be mad because
it almost feels like a very innocent feeling of just like, I want to throw a tantrum and I want to be mad and I'm going to be mad. And it's a natural response when things aren't going your way.
Oh, 100%.
You're allowing yourself to feel that way in regards to your mom. Because that's who you would probably act that way with.
Totally.
Like how much you love your mom and how comfortable you do feel with her. And it's like, I want to just be my truest, rawest, vulnerable self with someone. And you're choosing to feel that frustration and anger in regards to your mom, not necessarily infertility. It's interesting.
It is interesting. And I think that would be my safe place where I would for sure be able to break down with her and be like, but no, Mom, this isn't fair. And everyone freaking just gets pregnant. Why is this happening to me? I don't really have that. And so, yeah.
Maybe in a weird way, you are trying to give your mom some of that energy.
Sad.
No.
Even beyond the grave, I'm like, Mom, this is all your fault.
No, but it feels like your mom is like, of course you can feel this way.
Oh, yeah. And I think every mom, they welcome the raw emotion. We're like, please, I want to be the one that you can talk to and break down in front of and tell everything to. But, yeah, it's bullshit. It's so interesting because I think when you haven't gone through grief in this form, your perspective on a lot of things, it can be a little bit more clear, or from an outsider's perspective, you don't have as much emotion in it. So when you dream about loved ones, do you think it's them visiting you, or do you think it's your subconscious processing?
I think it could be both, honestly. I did have not dreams. Can it be kind of like a separate thing?
Yeah.
My grandpa passed away, and I was laying down in my basement working out, and I was just closing my eyes, stretching, whatever, thinking about my grandpa. And all of a sudden, you know when the light shifts outside and it's either really bright or really dark? It got so bright, but my eyes were closed. You kind of see red, you know? And it felt like he was there, being like, I'm here and I love you and I'm sending you a little ping. And then it slowly dissipated and I opened my eyes, but it felt warm and cozy. It's kind of similar where it's like, did the light just change, or was that a little sign? But I choose to believe that it was a sign.
You choose to believe it's a sign.
And so similar to dreams, it could be depending on the dream. I don't think if you have this horrible dream about your mom, you guys are fighting or screaming, whatever, I don't necessarily think that's a sign from her. But if it's one that you want to believe that it was her, I think it's a choice either to believe it or not.
When I think when people have them, you can tell the difference between that dream. Have you ever had a dream? I saw this girl post the other day where she had a dream that her baby was born on this day and that it had blue eyes or whatever. Have you ever had a dream, like, dreamt about one of your future kids, or
not my kids,
a vision type thing?
Not my kids. Rooney, I did think in my head, oh, he's going to have the darkest hair and brown eyes, because my other kids have hazel and lighter hair. And that was right, but it was more just kind of
a feeling,
a thought.
Yeah.
But my niece, I have 11 nephews and one niece, and so we finally got a girl in the family, and I remember I pictured her as a 4-year-old with this dark bob and bangs, and I just pictured her so vividly in my mind. She's only a year and she has no hair, but her hair's starting to come in and it's dark, and I'm like, you're who I pictured. And I just want them so bad at age 4 to cut her hair into bangs. That's who I pictured in my dream. Have you
had a dream?
Yeah, I had a dream that she was 4 years old.
Yeah.
And I think it was even before we found out the gender, but I was like, you're having a girl. It was so vivid. But what is that?
I don't know. Because I had that same thing about my niece, and she turned out to be complete opposite. Where I was like, she's going to have dark hair. She's going to look just like my sister-in-law, and she didn't. So I don't know.
So maybe it's just like you're trying to make sense. And I think our human brains are always trying to make sense of things and trying to find meaning in whatever it is.
But then we're also trying to break it down and make it make logical sense. So we probably discredit a lot of things that are actually real.
And I'm sure if the spirits on the other side are probably laughing at all the things that we think have meaning, and they're like, hello, there's a billboard of signs in front of your freaking face and you're seeing none of them. I do have a really strong feeling that that's probably what's happening.
Yeah. But I'm just like, Mom, what the and then she's like,
hello.
Like,
and then she'll be like, well, this. And you're just like, oh, I didn't realize.
Yeah,
I tried my best.
It's so true.
You had a lot of dreams about your mom.
I've had a lot of dreams about my mom. But like I mentioned the other week on the podcast, like bad dreams where I've been having night terrors about her. And that's my subconscious for sure processing things. But I've never had, like, I've craved a dream where if my mom were to come to me and give me a hug and be like, I'm here, or say something like, I know I can't give you your baby, but just trust that there's a plan. Something like that.
It would be,
and like the warm, fuzzy feeling that you feel. I think you can decipher that, where people listening are probably like, no, I've had a dream about my grandpa and he was sitting at the edge of my bed and he said this, this, and this. And that really makes sense. I totally believe in that, but I haven't personally had one of those dreams.
And it could be just like that's not a receptive place for you in your dreams. And maybe some people are, that's where they need that comfort and peace, which you do need that in your dreams, but I'm just saying maybe that's not a place where your brain is receptive to that. Because I think the most times you are receptive is when you are very intentional. I saw those numbers. I'm getting these 44-ounce drinks. And I think you do search for a lot of meaning in things. And I think dreaming is so out of your control.
Yeah. But that's where you want it. Because you just let the dog going to sleep and then it's like, whoa, mom, hi.
Like, whoa.
That's what you want, where it's not like, oh, that billboard said the name she used to call me. That billboard's always been there.
It's weird though too, because I feel like I probably had so many little experiences, especially spiritual experiences, that I just disregard. And I want to be more intentional. That's a goal of mine, to be more intentional about those things.
Yeah, I agree. Do you think that miscarriages are actual spirits? Do you think that they go to heaven, or do you think the spirit is assigned to the body at birth?
No. It's hard though too, because is that their chance and then they don't get another chance?
I was literally talking to my sister about this last night, because it's like kind of like how the church says they used to explain it like they were just too pure for this earth, too perfect, that they just went straight to the celestial. Same thing with Down syndrome people, where they don't need to be tested. They're just going straight to heaven. But a lot of people have miscarriages, and a lot of people have multiple miscarriages, and you want to think that little baby was something. But my sister had an ectopic pregnancy before Chloe, and we were talking about this last night, and I was like, oh, how does it feel to have a perfect older sister that was too perfect and then you were born or whatever? But what if that was actually Chloe? What if your miscarriage is actually the next baby? You know what I mean?
Yeah,
like if you miscarried before Lennox, it's like, was Lennox the miscarriage, or was it a whole separate spirit?
I know, that's so interesting. I don't really have a strong view on that, but maybe I would if I had multiple miscarriages. I would want to feel like they're separate and I'll see that baby, but I also want that baby to have a life.
Yeah, it's different because it is a whole separate egg. It's a whole separate cell. I think about even the embryo that we lost, like that was a boy or a girl. And if we have another boy or a girl, would it be the same, or would it be like, oh, that first boy or girl we lost is someone that we'll never meet or never know?
Well, what do you feel about it right now, like today?
I think embryos, I was talking to Hayden about it actually. It's hard because scientifically they are different, and they would have been different. They would have looked different, and they would have had a different color of eyes. That was already created. But I personally don't feel like there was a spirit attached to it. I think that maybe the spirit either starts when a heartbeat forms, because you do have a little personality inside your belly.
That's the thing, for sure. At some point that spirit enters that body
before they're born,
in my opinion. 1,000%. They're freaking kicking, they're giggling in there, they're sucking on their hands.
So at what point would you agree with a heartbeat thing?
Heartbeat sounds good to me. Then that little spirit is like boom boom.
Spirit engaged.
No, that does seem good.
But then it's hard because I have these 12 little embryos that have genders. They're boys and girls, and their chromosomes and all the things are in line. And that's weird that they're not something, but they are. They will turn into something.
Yeah, but I think too, you might have felt different if you heard the heartbeat and everything. I think you would feel different. For
sure. I don't know. It's hard because I feel for people who are like, oh, I have a whole army up there waiting for me. But it's like, what was their purpose?
But then also, what's the harm in that? Like, yeah, you got a whole army.
Yeah, there's no harm in it. But thinking about that, like, logistically, I don't think there's any harm in assigning meaning to anything.
But maybe there is. I don't know. It's so hard. This kind of stuff, my brain kind of breaks a little bit.
Do you feel like pets are in the afterlife?
Yes.
Do you think you're going to see Snoop?
For sure. Don't you?
I think so.
1,000% I do.
I'm going to run into a lot of freaking dogs that are lost.
You're like, Tova?
Sold.
Howie?
Yeah. Howie, did my parents take you to the pound, or did you actually run away?
Oh, Howie was so cute. Tova's the ugliest dog I've ever seen in my life. But
he wasn't mine. It was my sister's, so it's fine. Yeah, I think about Scout, and I'm like, oh my gosh, she better be up there, else heaven is not heaven.
But
She's my child.
No, animals, honestly, I don't know. It depends on what animal you are, because I feel like it's like you're on the high rung. If you come back as a dog, a very loved dog, you've won the lottery. But if you come back as an ant, but do I believe that there's like a bunch of ants chilling?
With personalities and souls? Where's the line of what animals don't have souls?
I know.
Cut off at, like, rodents or what?
Yeah. Did the creator think about all this? Yes. Right? I don't know. Whoa. Who am I?
Who am I? If you could meet anyone you get up to heaven, you could ask anyone anything or talk to anyone, who would it be?
I guess past family members. I would want to just sit down with all of the ancestors and be like, let's chat. Because I feel so disconnected. I was thinking this the other day. I feel so disconnected past anyone I've known, a grandparent. Because even their parents, they're not connected to me. I feel so disconnected. But Brandon did have this crazy experience when Lennox was born. I feel like I've told you this. Maybe I've said it on the podcast. But Lennox was in the NICU, and he went and gave Lennox a blessing because he was premature and all the things. And he said he saw the wall behind Lennox kind of disappear, and he said he saw a bunch of people standing around Lennox.
Wow.
And he recognized his grandma and his grandpa, but he didn't know who any of the other people were.
I love that crap. I hope that's what it's like, because I hope that they just feel so familiar to you.
That's what he said too. He was like, they all felt familiar, but I didn't know who they were. And I tried to talk more about it. That's like not Brandon. If you know Brandon, he's not like that at all.
He's not going to fixate on it, which makes you feel like it's real.
That's what I'm saying. He's not the type to have these experiences and even talk about them. So the fact that he had that, I'm like, that is answers.
There's a God.
But I do feel that. I hope I see and I experience ancestors and they feel so personal to me.
Do you think that there's a pre-existence?
Yeah, I think there's no beginning and no end.
That hurts.
I know. I think it's just endless.
I hate the thought of that, but love it at the same time.
I know.
What's worse, thinking it's going to end or thinking it's never going to end?
It doesn't make sense that it doesn't begin and doesn't end, but I think that's what it is.
Mm-hmm.
But is that my religious tendency talking? I don't know. What do you think? There is no beginning. There's no
beginning.
If you look at the universe, if you just think of the concept of the universe, there's so
No, but
much.
I even think about the freaking embryos that we created. They put Hayden's sperm, my egg together. They put it in a dish, and each day it multiplied, grew cells, became something. And then that rolls into a little fetus and then a baby. It's crazy how nothing can be turned into something. And it all probably started with one atom, one cell. There was a beginning of something. I think there's a beginning. I think there's a pre-existence, but it did start somewhere. I don't think it was like Adam and Eve. But I do believe that there is a before and an after this life.
There is beginnings and ends, but there is no beginning and end. But within that...
That actually makes so much sense, but not at all.
Do you know what I'm saying, though?
Yeah. Yeah.
And I'm sure whatever's after this, there will be beginnings and there will be ends, but also never endings.
Yeah.
It's so weird. This kind of stuff
hurts your brain.
Yeah, it's so mind melting, but also so fascinating that we even are able to comprehend this type of stuff. Are these doors locked? I'm scared.
Yeah. We're in a dark cemetery. The sun went down. Now it's spooky.
Should we get into the forecast?
Yeah.
Okay, do you want to go?
Obviously, I think both of our loved it is going to be Life of a Showgirl.
Yeah. I mean, it came out a few weeks ago, but still, like,
I know, but we haven't done a forecast since then. Obviously, that's still on repeat for me. Should I share my update that I have?
Yes, please.
We didn't talk about it on the last episode.
Okay.
A couple weeks ago, I talked to you about starting to prep for my transfer and to update all of you guys on the podcast. I know some of you guys are invested, but we did transfer secretly. I ended up confessing to you and telling you when we were transferring. I was like, okay, fine, it's on Friday. But our transfer didn't work, and so we are going round 2.
How are you feeling today about it?
Today, I'm feeling fine. I think the first few weeks were really hard. I was really having a hard time and not realizing that you actually do miscarry your embryo. That was really hard and painful and all of the things. And I think just having to start over and not really have many clear answers. But basically, once you have a transfer fail, they have you go back in and do more testing. And they did some more testing, and it turns out that I need to get another surgery, which is just a huge bummer. So I actually get that surgery in 2 days. And hopefully after that we'll be able to try again. But I was up high and I fell, plummeted to the ground on the pavement.
Yeah, it's been awful. And I think knowing that even right after, before you had your protocol meeting or whatever, you were like, hey, this sucks, but let's go back in. Let's do my transfer the next month. Let's go. And then having where it's like, okay, no, we need to go see if there's more polyps. Now you need surgery. Now you need this. Now you need this. The time is so not in your control. And also you have to undergo so much additional stuff.
Yeah. We were literally at the finish line.
Yeah.
I made it to the top of the mountain.
And everything was so perfect. I think that's what's so frustrating too. It was just like everything looks great. Everything looks perfect. And then from that to no. And boom, boom, boom. You have to get all this additional stuff and go through all this additional trauma on your body.
Yep. And not to mention pay another freaking 10 grand because it didn't work. All of the things that we have to do just to get another shot, and we lost our best graded embryo. So much to it, and it sucks because literally on the last episode we talked about this. I was like, I can't do it. And you're like, yes, you can. I'm like, are you sure? I literally can't do it. But then I did it and it didn't work, and I feel like I can't do it again, but I have no choice. It's just the same conversation we keep having over and over again. Just keep climbing.
I know. I told you the other day that I was listening to this podcast and this girl was saying the difference between being super open and being super private. And for her, being open about everything is actually helpful and not letting it ruin her excitement the next run around, because it's like either I'm going to be disappointed or I'm not, but I'm not going to be disappointed twice and brace for impact. I'd rather just fall so hard if it doesn't work and still be excited. How do you think you'll feel? I don't know how I will feel on that day, but I do know right now I'm numb and I'm not excited and I'm not stressed. And I've told you that and I've told Hayden that, and both your reaction was like, that's great. Yeah.
Stay there.
Yeah. I feel the numbness is better than the pain. Obviously, I don't want you to stay numb forever, but I'd rather have you stay numb than be in the trenches.
Yeah. But I think it's going to be good going into this next transfer, not being so stressed about every little thing I do, because I think the first transfer I was so stressed about every little thing that I can know now it can go absolutely perfect and still not work out. And so don't stress. What's going to happen is going to happen. But I don't know. It's sad because the first transfer, that was the most magical day of my life. It was so magical and so happy, and I don't know if I'll feel that same excitement. And then it's like, what if it does take this time?
I feel like you will. I don't necessarily think it'll be that blind excitement, but I think you will be so excited. I think just the process in general is very whoa and special and magical. I think you will feel that excitement in the moment.
So we'll see. And it just sucks because you get one shot every 3 or 4 months because of all the testing and waiting for a cycle and all the stuff. So hopefully we can transfer again by the end of the year.
It's just not
going on to year 3 of infertility, so it sucks so freaking bad, but there's not much else to say.
Going on year 3 is wild.
Yeah. And I'm going to have my first kid at like freaking 34. This sucks so bad. Anyway, so yeah, that's been consuming a lot of my life. Obviously, it has this whole year. Since our episode last week, I really do want to get into a therapist and work through some stuff while I'm feeling okay. And I think just no matter what happens next time, knowing how to navigate it, and to hopefully, even if I do get pregnant, start going to therapy to heal and recover from
this whole experience
before it maybe becomes.
Yes. Brecca was so sweet afterwards. She sent us both a list of therapists. Have you...
Oh my gosh, yeah, she sent that to me, but I need to make a whole list and then try and call and get that 15-minute consult.
I know. I've called a few and just haven't heard anything. They're ghosting me, just not getting back to me. So I'm just like, oh, that's a bummer for me.
How have you been feeling since that episode?
I feel good. Listening to it back made me sad.
Yeah.
You know, it's just hard hearing yourself at such a vulnerable place, but also trying. I was about to cut it out and I was like, no, I feel like it'll be good to just leave it in there and be open about how I'm feeling. I'm still just kind of in the middle.
Bone's still sticking out of your leg.
Yeah. But also just trying really hard to keep moving forward and seek help. And I think even just calling the therapist and stuff is a big step for me.
And maybe just the hope of, okay, I'm taking steps to create a plan of care to get this feeling better.
I will say, Brandon, being so, and always is, but just so gentle and so kind with me, and I just love having a partner. I think that I'm just feeling that today, especially of
someone who has your back.
Yeah, exactly. No matter what, and also just wants the best for me. And I feel so lucky that I have someone like that.
Yeah.
And especially someone who loves my kids as much as I do and is there and can take care of them as well as I can. And I do feel lucky. And so I'm trying to practice a lot of gratitude during this hard time.
For sure.
So yeah, that's kind of where I'm at.
What else with your forecast? Anything?
Okay, I guess we'll just end on this light note.
Okay.
My loved it is I watched Dirty Dancing the other day. I loved it so much.
Was that the first time you've seen it?
I've seen it, but just years and years and years ago. And I was just like, holy crap. There's something about cinema right now that's giving me so much joy. Especially really, really good stories. Everything with film and television. I've always been such a fan, but I feel like I need to tap into that more.
Production and noticing the value of the art.
Yes, yes. And just the writing. Patrick Swayze, it's wild to me how he's freaking like humping the air most of the movie. And I'm like, you're so hot.
So good at this. Yeah.
So hot to me. And their acting and chemistry, I'm like, this is acting. And I feel like even if it was remade today, it wouldn't be this magic lightning in a bottle. And baby, her innocence and who she is, I'm like, you are perfect for this role. Mm-hmm. And Patrick Swayze, how he is, how he teaches, how he interacts with her, I'm like, this is magic. And I think that it's something that, especially going through a hard time emotionally, finding anything that's sparking any type of joy, I'm trying to cling on and hold space for that. That's awesome that I'm feeling joy about this movie.
No.
And why is it? And appreciating that art and beauty. I'm still a human. I still have feelings, and things can still bring me joy.
Oh, 100%. And I love that about you. I love that you find joy in movies and dissecting things and see the details that most people just don't appreciate.
Totally. I just want to tap into that cinema.
You should.
Because I watched One Battle After Another. Have you heard anything about that? You would hate it. It's straight action.
Yeah.
But it's Leonardo DiCaprio, and it's so good.
Can I tell you something too? I don't know if you're the same way, but my day revolves around when I can be in bed and watch a show.
Yes.
And it's sad.
Yeah.
I'm just like, oh my gosh, this is the highlight of my day. At the end of the night, watching a show with Scout and Hayden and being in a place where everything's done for the day and watching TV. People didn't used to have this. Watching a good movie or watching a good show is truly the highlight of my life. And that sounds sad, but also, is it fine?
Absolutely fine. And I think it's like anything that's bringing you joy, there's nothing wrong with that. It's not even just about the show. Yes, it is. But it's about that sense of safety and peace you're feeling during that time where you feel complete. There was a beginning to your day. This is the end of your day. There's nothing more on your plate. It's like a relief.
Yes. No one's asking anything from me. I can just enjoy the show, cuddle up, and fall asleep. Life is good.
Yeah, it's more of a safety thing versus a show.
Or a Sunday where I'm like, I'm going to have a really productive morning, and then I want to take an afternoon nap, watch a show. My whole day will revolve, and I'll work and work and work towards that. And I'm like, this is kind of sad, but I'll never change.
No, literally same. And I think, too, I love a show, but then also I love turning off the show and then me and Brandon just chatting. And I feel like you're the same. When you're just giggling with Hayden and joking and it's like, no, go to bed.
Oh, totally. And just having a good show to look forward to. There's nothing better in life when it's like, oh, we have a new episode to watch.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, life is so good.
But there's nothing worse than when you have no television and you're just like scrolling for hours and then it's just like, okay, I guess we'll put on this random
The Office again. Yeah.
Yes. Or it's like, let's start this random movie we've seen a million times and you watch 20 minutes of it and then it's bedtime and you're like, okay,
good night.
When you know you have a show locked and loaded.
Yeah, it's so good. It's really bringing so much joy. And a tree.
Like a tree and TV.
Do you ever eat in bed? Like a full meal?
Oh, yeah, but Brandon hates.
This is the same with Hayden. I'm like, no, go get me some Costa Vida. I'm going to eat it in my bed. And he's like, no. You come out and eat it at the table like a grown-up. And I'm like, no, there's nothing better.
I love a meal in bed. Brandon, I think his number one pet peeve is crumbs in the bed.
Yep.
Like, if he feels one crumb, he's like, hates his life. And I'm just like, sweep the crumbs to his side, and I'm like, good night.
Yeah, I'd be just putting it on Scout. I'm like, oh, that's weird. Scout must have crawled in your blanket. Weird. Oh my gosh, this episode is... It took a lighter note.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Like, we ended up, don't put baby B in a corner.
Yeah.
Never put baby in a corner. Oh, it's so good. I love it. I actually want to rewatch it right now.
Watch it. I'll rewatch it.
Let's do a listener prompt, stories from the other side.
I know, I think we should, because this was fun to do like a little afterlife episode in the theme of October, but also we do need to do a listener submission. So if you guys have stories of the afterlife or connecting to the other side, signs, near-death experiences, we want to hear them.
Yes, and we'll read them all and it'll be amazing.
Yeah.
Okay, love you guys.